This workshop is facilitated by Kemble H. This study relies on you listening, but please, we pray that you have your big book in hand and follow along with a pen, pencil or highlighter and make any notes and pause if you need to. Also, write down any questions and we'll take them at the end of the meeting. We will keep everybody muted during the workshop except for the facilitators. Any inappropriate behaviour will not be tolerated and you will be removed by one of the co-hosts. This meeting is being recorded. The audio portion only is being recorded and only of the facilitators. The recording will be stopped at the end of the workshop before taking any questions in order to preserve your anonymity. So, to kick off a great meeting, we open with a step 3 prayer found on page 63. If you'd really like to join me. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Thanks, guys. Over to you then, Kemble.
Okay, thank you, Brother Dan. I want to say happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to the Keystone International Sunday Big Book Workshop. My name is Kemble. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I took the 12 steps and it commenced to create a personality change sufficient enough for me to recover from alcoholism. We all can achieve this thing, provided we follow a few simple directions. Anyway, today we're in There Is a Solution. And there is a solution for our alcoholism. Shoot, I never thought I'd find a solution for it. I thought I was going to drink till I was dead, which I should have been a lot of times, but we all know how that goes. My life was miserable. I couldn't be happy unless I was drinking. I couldn't take it, and I couldn't leave it alone. I didn't know I was suffering from an illness, especially an illness that only a spiritual experience could conquer. I wasn't too keen on this spiritual stuff at the time, because I left the church when I was a teenager. I left church, joined the military, and I forgot all about church for the next 30, 40 years. I eventually got back into it, but my religion didn't solve my alcohol problem. But taking the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous did, and I'm forever grateful for it. Grateful for everybody that's on this journey with me, and I'm grateful that everybody's here. So, this week, we're going to start here at the bottom of page 20. And we're going to pick it up from there, and there is a solution. You know, I tried to solve my own alcohol problem, y'all. I drank for 42 years. I know I spent 40 years trying to solve my own drinking problem. But I was always baffled. Another debacle, another drink, destruction started, and this stuff lasted because I couldn't stop myself from drinking no matter what I tried. What any other human tried, they couldn't. Doctors couldn't do it. Psychiatrists couldn't do it. I certainly couldn't do it. Treatment centers, detox, rehabs, everything. I went through practically everything, but I was still drinking, no matter how hard I tried. But you know, thank God for the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. It showed me a way how I could recover from this thing. It shows all of us the way that we can recover. So, Brother Dan, I'd like you to start off at the bottom of page 20, where it says moderate drinkers have little trouble. And I want you to stop at the end in the first paragraph on 21, and I'll roll from there. Cool. Stop right before we get to talk about the real alcoholic.
Yeah, sure. Just the bottom of page 20, everybody, last paragraph. Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have good reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. Then we have a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally. It may cause him to die a few years before his time. If a significantly strong enough reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environment, or the warning of a doctor becomes operative, this man can also stop or moderate, although he may find it difficult and troublesome and may even need medical attention.
Okay, thank you, Brother Dan. No doubt. bottom of page 20. It reads, moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have a good reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. How many of us can relate with that, starting off being a moderate drinker? I know I can. There was a time when I could take a drink and I'd be okay. Wait, it may be another week, another month before I take another drink. There was a time when we all could take it or we could leave it alone. But then we graduated to the next step where it said about the heavy drinker. Now, then we have a certain type of hard drinker. He may have a habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally. Yeah, the brain starts to get some fog. We start drinking a little bit more, but the hard drinker can stop or moderate if he has a good reason for it. When I was a hard drinker, which it didn't last very long, I went pretty quick from moderate drinker to a heavy drinker to a real alcoholic. But at some point, I can look back now, and I'm pretty sure we all can. There was a time when we became a heavy drinker that we could stop or we could moderate. I can relate with that. Some days I could moderate it. Some days I could control it, right? Until I developed that physical allergy that we alcoholics suffer from. Then we lost all control. That's how it was, and from my experience, right? Now, I want to go back to something in the doctor's opinion. Matter of fact, on page XXX, Dr. Sickworth describes 5 classifications of alcoholics. So this was a game changer for me because it helped me to realize that something was wrong with me. So here on page XXX, in the doctor's opinion, it says the classification of alcoholics seems most difficult in much detail is outside of the scope of this book. There are, of course, the psychopaths who are emotionally unstable. This is the class 1, the unstable alcoholic. We are all familiar with this type. They are always going on the wagon for keeps. They are over remorseful to make many resolutions, but never a decision. I'm sure we all can relate to this. I used to make so many promises, sweet promises. And I would convince people, my spouse, my family, employees or whatever, I would convince them so hard that I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. To the next day, boom. I was always making promises, but I never came to a decision. No. So I kept drinking. We all keep drinking at this time. Then it goes on to relate about there is the type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot take a drink. This is the class of denial. Oh man, people was telling me a long time ago, right? Say after the first 5 years that I was drinking, they was telling me, you can't handle your alcohol. I said, yes, I can. Watch me. And I would just out drink them, right? And I'm get to staggering, I get to talking trash, and I'll leave and have, just keep having fun. I could not stand the thought of somebody telling me I couldn't handle my alcohol. No, you must can't handle yours because I can keep drinking, but you can't. That's a state of denial, right? But we can't see it. So he plans various ways of drinking, many ways of drinking. He always believes that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, he can take a drink without danger. And this is a delusion. Big Book talks about this delusion, the delusion that we are like or can be like other people. This delusion has to be smashed. So that's the type 3 type of alcoholic that he is talking about. So then Dr. relates there's the manic depressive type who is perhaps the least understood by his friends and about whom a whole chapter could be written. The manic depressive type. This class 4, the alcoholic who is depressed. Well, we all know alcohol is a substance that it causes depression. Then we drink more to try to become undepressed. It may work for a few minutes or a few hours, but then when the alcohol start going down, the depression sets in. And then it just makes things worse on them. On good days, we alcoholics drink to make us feel even better. On bad days, like when we're depressed, we drink to try to make ourselves feel better, and then we become more depressed. The baffling feature of alcoholism, the utter inability to leave it alone, no matter how great the wish or the necessity may be. But then, here's Dr. Sitworth again. There are the types entirely normal in every respect except in the effect alcohol has upon them. They are often able, intelligent, friendly people. Yeah, can we all relate to that? Yes, I know I was such a good, sweet, loving person until I got that drink in me. When I got that drink in me, no, everything changed. We're going to talk about that here on page 22 here shortly. Page 21, we'll talk about that shortly. But yeah, we alcoholics, we can do all kinds of good things. We can love people, we can love families, we love our jobs, we can work hard on our jobs. We can be successful in all areas of our life, except when it comes to alcohol. Alcohol would take us down through there. We all experienced that. I know I did. Then he talks about a whole chapter could be written about this type of alcoholic. Yes. Most of us are able, friendly, and intelligent until we take a drink. Yeah, I backed up a little too far. But here's the key point. All these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing a phenomenon of craving. So true. This is what makes us alcoholic. This is what sets us apart from the heavy drinker, the moderate drinker. This symptom, this is the first symptom of alcoholism, the physical allergy. I don't know about y'all, but when I was drinking, did y'all ever get thirsty? The more you drank, the thirstier you got? I experienced that. Yes. But one drink was never enough. When I crossed this line, I had lost all control. Drank here, boom, I already thinking about the third drink, the fourth drink, and thinking about how many more drinks I can put in me. At this point, the alcohol, we have lost all control of our alcohol consumption. Wow. Thank God for this program of recovery piece. That's all I can say. And then Dr. Sitworth goes on to relate, this phenomenon, as we have suggested, may be the manifestation of an allergy, which differentiates these people. They're talking about us, the real alcoholic, which we finna discuss. And it sets them apart as a distinct entity. It has never been by any treatment with which we are familiar, permanently eradicated. The only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. Here, chronic alcoholics, we are doomed unless we can stop drinking permanently. But how are we going to be able to stop drinking? Well, that's the purpose of this program, and that's the purpose of us going through the book. There is a solution, but we got to find a solution, right? I know I tried to solve my own problem, right? And it just made every other problem in the world worse. I thought I was the solution, but in reality, alcohol was a solution for every problem I had in life. Then the problems piled up, and they kept piling up. Never stopped piling up. So, back to page 21. This is where we want to go now. Then it goes on to ask the question of what about the real alcoholic? The real alcoholic is such a completely different person when he is drinking. The real alcoholic has lost all control. That's the point that I was in for so many years. I was the real alcoholic. Bill Wilson also used the words chronic alcoholics. He uses several different meanings, but it all comes to the same thing. Chronic alcoholic, real alcoholic, true alcoholic. He uses these different expressions in the big book. But here's the person that once we take a drink, we cannot stop drinking. We have lost all control. So it goes on to relate back to page 21. He may start off as a moderate drinker. He may or may not become a continuous hard drinker But at some stage of his drinking career, he begins to lose all control of his liquor consumption once he starts to drink. The real alcoholic has simply lost the power of choice whether we're going to drink or not. And when we take that drink, activates that allergy, the phenomenon of craving, then we cannot shut it off by mental control, because it's gonna, that allergy is gonna bug us, and we got to keep feeding this allergy. That's why I mentioned the fact that, in my drinking career, the more I drank, the thirstier I got. My body was demanding more. I was trying to fix a craving that couldn't be fixed. At this point, I'm a real alcoholic. And I suffered from that alcoholism for so long. So he goes on to relate. Page 21. Here is a fellow who has been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. Yes, I can remember way back when I lost control. Because I could start drinking at night, and then I forget what happened during the night, and I don't know nothing till the next morning. People be telling me, my family used to tell me, my friends used to tell me things I was doing. I was in a blackout during this period, having no idea. I did some crazy, absurd things. As the big book relates, it goes on here back on page 21. He does absurd, incredible, tragic things while drinking. He is a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He is seldom mildly intoxicated. He is always more or less insanely drunk. And we all relate with that. Once we cross that line, boy, see, like, I have people that knew me from my drinking career here in my hometown, right? And they used to tell me, or they can come tell me now, we can talk and laugh about it now. Every time they see me, I was insanely drunk, and I was walking around with 2 or 3 fifths in my possession at all times. And if I didn't have none, this is going to be a problem. Somebody was going to give me something to drink. That's just how crazy, absurd this stuff has us. But more or less, every time I come out the house, I'd have to be drunk. When I see somebody, I'm always seeing like the drunkest person in the room or at the party or whatever. Then the big book goes on to relate. His disposition while drinking resembles his normal nature, but little. He may be one of the finest fellows in the world, yet let him drink for a day, and he frequently becomes disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial. That's right. Sometimes we alcoholics like to isolate ourselves, right? Then we go out in public, yeah, we very antisocial, because we don't want nobody interfering with our drinking, nobody getting in our way, nobody trying to step on our toes. We don't want nobody telling us that we couldn't control our liquor consumption. And no, the heavy drinker, they can think about alcohol. They can see, actually, the obsession is something that starts in the mind. That's where the problem with the alcoholic is centers in his mind. Now, I can relate to that, bro, Charles, because I used to, when I be at work or even back in the military, if I'm on duty, I'm thinking about whenever time I get off, I'm thinking about all day how that drink gonna taste when I get off. So we think about it. See, the alcoholic thinks about it. The heavy drinker can think about it. Even a moderate drinker, right? Some of my in-laws, right? Some of them had developed maybe into a heavy drinker. So like if they're working on my car or working on somebody else's cars or whatever, they're gonna be thinking about when they finish to get them a drink. So, but once again, the obsession is not a symptom, but it is something that we alcoholics do. Bill Wilson talks about this obsession several times in some of his documentaries, and they're very informative. So, but then it goes on to relate, he has a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. Can we relate to that? Having important appointments coming up soon. We try to stay sober right during the week. But right before that appointment, if it be 2 or 3 days ahead of time, we decide to take that drink, that important appointment is not going to get met. So let me share this with you from my personal experience. Back in 2000, I had a court date set for a Friday, right? So I drank Sunday, I drank Monday. I said, I ain't drinking no more till I get to court Friday morning. Then I get out. I can go to work. When I get off, I can start drinking again. Well, come Wednesday morning, I took a drink. Friday morning, I was still drinking, and I said, I'm not going up in that courtroom. I'm too damn drunk. And I was. So I missed that important appointment. Of course, somebody had to bail me out and all this, my boss man. But that's how it does us. We can, at the point when we become real alcoholics, without a solution, we don't care what kind of appointment coming up or whatever. The drink usually wins. And it starts in the mind. It usually wins. So then back to page 21. He is often perfectly sensible and well balanced concerning everything except liquor. But in that respect, he is incredibly dishonest and selfish. Yeah, we alcoholics. We can be perfectly normal and even brilliant in a lot of things in life, but only when not drinking. Then we take that drink, and then all bets are off. They're slap off. I know in my experience it was, no, ain't nothing else finna get done once I take that drink. Nothing but a drink for me. Drink for me. Okay, thank you, Michael. Yeah. Yeah, the military, right? Remember when I joined the military, they sent me to AA in '83, right? So they seen then. I had been in for 3 years at the time. So I'm like, well, why y'all sending me to this place called Alcoholics Anonymous? So my first thought, I wasn't missing work or nothing. But by George, every morning I stepped in formation, you can smell liquor from this end of the squad to that squad. It's coming off of me because I'm still full of it from the night before. So they said, well, we need to send you to AA. So I said, for what? What is this AA stuff about? I had no idea. When I got there, seeing these people smoking these cigarettes and cigars and they're sitting around, some of them were smiling and some of them didn't look too happy. But I know one thing, it wasted an hour out of my drinking time because I thought these people were going to help me anonymously to help keep my liquor cabinet full. Shoot, I left out there after that hour. Oh, I ain't going back. No, I ain't got no problem. Sometimes I can't get enough to drink. That's my excuse, right? Couldn't get enough to drink. But who knows? After that day, 40 years later, I was still almost 40 years later. I take that back. It was almost 40 years later from that day in 1983. But see, I was a real alcoholic then and didn't even know it. I had no idea. I was still in what we call that denial stage. No, I can drink and still do what I got to do. Till the later years, then it just beat me down. I couldn't do what I used to do no more. Alcohol, it became my master, and nothing else mattered. We destroy relationships, we destroy marriages, we destroy everybody that surrounds us, the employers, everybody. So back to the page, 21. It says, he often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, and has a promising career ahead of him. Yes, we can have beautiful careers ahead of us. But when we cross this line to become a real alcoholic, it destroys everything. It destroyed careers for me as well. But he uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, and then pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. So true. Yeah, we done made promises to our families, our friends, employers, and everybody. We done made all these sweet promises, these resolutions, and then when that drink hits us again, we tear down everything we just built up, all the hope that we done built up. We done destroyed people who was depending on us, and we hurt them. We hurt everybody that we dealt with. We simply hurt people. So he is the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated he ought to sleep, walk around. Yet early next morning he searches madly for the bottle he misplaced the night before. So true. You know what's had that experience? Well, in my experience, I keep mine in bed with me, so I wouldn't have to be looking for it, trying to hide it. I stick it in my pillow, and that was my love. That bottle was my love. That's all I want to deal with. So you're on page 22. As matters grow worse, he begins to use a combination of high-powered sedative and liquor to quiet his nerves so he can go to work. Then comes the day when he simply cannot make it and gets drunk all over again. The baffling feature again. The utter inability to leave it alone. So we want to know where the problem starts. Once again, the problem centers in the mind rather than in the body. Then when the mind tells us it's okay to take a drink, we take that drink, it develops that phenomenon of craving as we just got through talking about. But then, in Bill's experience, or in the book, he started taking sedatives and other different things to mix with this alcohol in order to make it. So this would be an alcoholic trying to switch from one thing, one addiction or whatever to another. I can relate to that too. I started using some other kind of drugs after I returned into a real alcoholic, and I was hoping these other drugs would keep me going. And all it did was keep my drunk going and just made life so much worse. It really did. So here's an important fact. It says, perhaps he goes to a doctor who gives him morphine or some sedative, which to taper off, thinking it's going to taper us off, right? I've been through all that too. Then he begins to appear at hospitals and sanitariums. Yes, some of y'all know a lot of my experience. I spent probably 12 to 15 times in treatment centers. Detox centers, I can't even remember the number. It's been over 20, 25 of those. Psych wards, a whole bunch of them. The VA used to keep, I'd always end up in the hospital. In the third floor, we used to call it the flight deck. The third floor, you're going to fly off of there. That was locked in, psych ward. Sticking me in the hip with different kinds of medicine to try to calm me down due to my alcoholism. And that was the problem. Every time I went there, I was so full of alcohol. Every time I went to jail, I was full of alcohol. But I'm blaming them other people for my drinking problem. Well, why y'all bring me to jail just because I'm drinking? Well, fool, you was driving and drinking and driving. Hell, you was out there fighting. You done hurt somebody. No, they started it. That was no excuse to still take my butt to jail. But anyway, back to page 22. You go on to say, this is by no means a comprehensive picture of the true alcoholic. No doubt. But this description should identify him roughly. So our behavior patterns vary, right? Now, our behavior is not a symptom of alcoholism. It's what we alcoholics do. Our behavior change. Remember we talked about the real Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? Normal in every other respect except when it comes to alcohol. That alcohol takes effect and we turn into a different person. I know this from my experience. So we all may have something in common, right? At this point, we are dishonest and we selfish when it comes to alcohol. How many times we done lied to people about how much we drank? How many times we getting ready to go to an event and they tell us, our families tell us not to drink. Then we sneak in the bathroom, in my bedroom, or sneak some liquor outside on the porch and drink it. Then we try to act sober. And here I am staggering and falling down a slur of speech. You been drinking, ain't you? No. It's a lie. We very dishonest people. Then they want to question us. Well, how much have you drunk? It doesn't matter. I didn't drink but a half of a pint, right? A half a pint. We done drunk 2/5 at that time. But our behaviors pattern vary and they will show. Family been around us a while. And they used to us, after a point, they get used to us lying to them and just they think we full of crap anyway. And we are full of crap, to be honest with you. 99.9% of the time. That is my experience. No doubt. So, oh, man. So here. Well, back to page 22, it says, why does he behave like this? If hundreds of experiences have shown him that one drink means another debacle with all this attendant suffering and humiliation, why does he take that one drink? Man. One point right here I like to bring out. If all we have to do to recover from alcoholism was to never take that first drink. Then you want to say, why do I take that first drink? Don't know. We suffering from an illness of the mind too. That's why we take that first drink without it when we don't have a solution. See, this is step one, right? Promise of step one. Without the solution, we're gonna drink again. And I'm sure we all had this experience, step one experience. We only got but two alternatives. One is to go on to the bitter end, or the other, seek spiritual help. Spiritual help solve my problem. Matter of fact, that is the real solution to alcoholism. Spiritual experience, vital spiritual experience. So it goes on to say, I'll go to second to last paragraph. It says, perhaps there will be a full answer. There will never be a full answer to these questions. Opinions vary considerably as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people. We are not sure why. Once a certain point is reached, little can be done for him. We cannot answer the riddle. Okay. The question is as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people. At this point, the real alcoholic, we're beyond human aid. See, normal people can take it and leave it alone, right? Heavy drinkers, they can stop and moderate. When it comes to the real alcoholic of our type, we can't moderate. So at this point, you know, men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. You know, then that effect is so elusive. And then we take that drink, that allergy kick in, that craving kick in, and we can't control it no matter how hard we try. So bottom paragraph, it says, we know that while the alcoholic keeps away from drink, as he may do for months or years, he reacts much like other men. Okay. We have some examples later on. No, it's be in the next paragraph, the next chapter. It talks about the experience of a man who we believe he was alcoholic from the beginning, but he made a decision that he want to finish his career and not drink alcohol until he finished his career. So he finished his career, I think, for 25 years, 30 years. Anyway, when he retired, he got on that couch, and within 4 years, he was dead. Yeah, so sometimes we alcoholics, we can keep away from it if we try to plan our careers or whatever. But at some point, the drink probably gonna come back without the solution. I was never able to do it, but maybe all the years I've been in and out of these rooms, in and out of all these different treatment centers, I might stay sober sometime. The longest I ever stayed sober at one point was 16 months because I was locked up in jail, but I was coming out every day to work. So I wouldn't drink and had to go back to the jailhouse and check in because they would have they'd put me in solitary confinement, right? They'd lock my butt away deep into jail. So I was enjoying my freedom and I could come out, work, and go back in. But you know what? After the 16 months and people opened them doors down there, first place I went was the liquor store after being locked up for that amount of time. That was back in 2011. And I still went on to 2020 before I recovered from alcoholism. After the fact of going to meetings, see, I was getting a watered down message. I wasn't getting the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. People were giving me their own opinions and not giving me what's written in this book. And that almost killed me in and out the rooms like that. So we are equally positive that once he takes any alcohol, whatever, into his system, something happens, both in the bodily and mental sense, which makes it virtually impossible for him to stop. The experience of any alcoholic will abundantly confirm this. No, it says something happens both in the body. We know about the body, the physical allergy, right? The number 9, the craving kicks in. And the mental sense, at some point, the second symptom of alcoholism will kick in. It's called a malady of the mind. This is where the problem centers at. Centers in the mind rather than in the body. And it goes on to relate the experience of any alcoholic will abundantly confirm this. Yes, I can relate. I used to tell myself all the time, I ain't drinking. Then 30 minutes later, or probably less, something tells me, well, it's okay for you to drink. You'll be okay. You can control it this time. Shoot, it's gonna be all right. Nope, never worked. Another drunk, another debacle. So here, top of page 23. Let me share a couple of notes that I got in my, couple of things I got in my mind. When it comes to the second symptom here, the malady of the mind. See, we already know there is no way I can trigger my allergy that produce the phenomenon of craving and end up drunk, sick and in trouble if I don't take that first drink. Does that make a lot of sense to us, right? So we are without defense against the first drink. If only we could remember what a drink would do to us. If only we could remember the jailhouses, divorce courts, the hospitals, the humiliations, the pain and sufferings of the last drunk, who said we would not take a drink, right? The man would give us some excuse to take it. There it is again. There is the main problem of the alcoholic is sinners in the mind rather than in his body. There's a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps us from putting our hand on a hot stove. Alcohol is similar to a hot stove. It has burned us over and over again. So we're strangely insane when it comes to alcoholism. No doubt. So, here we go again, top of page 23 again. These observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took the first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Ooh. So therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Here's the key point, though. If you ask him why he started on the last bender, the chances are he will offer you any one of 100 alibis. So true. Sometimes these excuses have a certain plausibility, but none of them really make sense in the light of the havoc an alcoholic's drinking bout creates. They sound like the philosophy of a man having a headache, beats himself on the head with a hammer so that he cannot feel the ache. Now, that's some strange philosophy there. That's pretty insane, ain't it? So for a real alcoholic, especially a my type, it'd be insane for me to take a drink. I was insane anyway for a whole lot of years before I knew what I was suffering from. I never thought I was suffering from alcoholism. This book showed me what my problem was. It showed me what the solution is, and it gave me the course of action. And it commenced to solve my alcoholic problem. It'll solve all of our alcoholic problems. It certainly will. This program works. It really does. But no doubt. I'm so grateful. Now, page 23. It goes on to say, once in a while, he may tell the truth. See, we alcoholics, we love to lie, right? That's where the dishonesty and the self-centeredness and the selfishness comes in at. Even the self-pity comes in. We ain't gonna be truthful about our drinking. We ain't gonna be truthful about where we been, what we done did. It's all a big lie. Lie. I was one of the best of them. Shoot, I was the top of the line lie. Boy, I lie so good. And then I forget what I be done lied about, and then I gotta make up more lies to try to make up for the lies I done told. So, and the truth, strange to say, is usually that he has no more idea why he took that first drink than you have. We alcoholics have lost the mental ability to choose not to drink. No, that's what we alcoholics do. Alcoholics drink, right? So we drink. That's what we do. We drink to get drunk. We don't drink just for the heck of it. The real alcoholic gonna drink and try to feel that craving up there that never can be filled. So we make all kind of excuses, you know. In my experience, I made excuses about everything just to get a drink, just to have a valid reason to drink. If I couldn't find something in my room, I make an excuse. I couldn't find it, and I make an excuse to drink. Somebody feel like somebody may have offended me or looked at me wrong. That was an excuse for me to take a drink. If I felt like my wife or my family said something I didn't like, that was an excuse for me to take a drink. The sun was shining. That was an excuse for me to take a drink. If the wind was blowing, that was an excuse for me to take a drink. If it was storming, that was an excuse for me to take a drink. Well, maybe I can block the storm out now. Now I'll go ahead and fight this tornado that's coming, right? That's an excuse. Use these crazy excuses, right? We alcoholics are full of excuses. So some drinkers have excuses which they are satisfied part of the time. But in their hearts, they really don't know why they do it. Once this malady, the condition of the mind, the malady, has a real hold, they are a baffled lot. There is the obsession that somehow, someday, they will beat the game, but they often suspect they are down for the count. Yes. We obsessed with ourselves thinking we can beat this thing on our own. That's what I thought. I don't know about y'all. But alcoholism was above everything that was at my resources. Alcoholism was way above that. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous helped me and it solved my problem. All this other stuff didn't work. Never worked. No matter what I tried. The Lord knows I tried everything. But anyway, we alcoholics, we think, yeah, we got it. I got this. You hear a lot of people in the meetings talking about, well, you got this. Yeah, you got another drink coming. That's what we got without a solution. Yeah, it just pissed me off in the meeting. I hear somebody struggling with alcoholism, and this person says, okay, well, you got, yeah, what we got this illness that we suffering from. That's what we got. Can you help me with the solution? Yes, help me with the solution. I tell you, God just don't. Some of the meetings I went to for years, man. So it makes me think about the fellowship Bill brought to Evie, the practical program of action, which is outlined in this big book, which will lead us all to the vital spiritual experience. That is the real solution for an alcoholic of our type. Vital spiritual experience. We will talk about that in this chapter 2, probably next week, before we can do it, because I'm running a little low on time today. But I just have so much I love to share. See, this is how I was 12-step through this thing. Line by line, page by page. I asked questions when I needed to. Studied the book like a textbook. It is a textbook. Without this solution, I'd still be drinking today. Because my religion and my preaching didn't stop me from drinking. No, I used to go preaching and I'm drinking the same few minutes after I get through. Wow, thank God, the last 4 years, plus I haven't had to pick up a drink. And this program solved that problem for me. Do I ever think about drinking? I wouldn't be human if I didn't. I'm sure we all say it might be fine, it might feel different, it might be good to take a drink. But then when that thought crops up, we ask God that wants to remove it. Because, at this point, we know we can't take a drink. No, we can't. Then when we find that power greater than ourselves, it will solve every problem that we have, not only with alcoholism, but as for me, it solves all other problems I have in life. So, back to where they often suspect they are down for the count. So on back to the last paragraph on page 23, it says how true this is, few realize. In a vague way, their families and friends sense that these drinkers are abnormal. But everybody hopefully awaits the day when the sufferer will rouse himself from his lethargy and assert his power of will. Well, by now we know willpower will not solve our alcoholic problem. Willpower is never enough. Then look, the people who care about us, right? They hope someday that we will be able to control the situation. But the fact is, without a defense against that first drink, we ain't controlling nothing because we out of control. Once we take that drink, we're even more out of control. That's when the Jekyll and Hyde effect kicks in. No, when the craving kicks in, we ain't finna stop. So, last little bit here on page 23, it says the tragic truth is that if the man be a real alcoholic, the happy day may not arrive. No doubt. He has lost all control. All of it. Ain't no turning back. Once we lose that power of choice in drink and we cross the line from the moderate drinker to the heavy drinker to the real alcoholic, there is no turning back. So at a certain point, top of page 24, at a certain point in the drinking career of every alcoholic, he passes into a state where the most powerful desire to stop drinking is of absolutely no avail. This tragic situation has already arrived in practically every case long before it is expected. True information here. We alcoholics, we cross the line before we realize it. So once we cross the line, no desire is powerful enough to solve our problem. You know, people say Alcoholics Anonymous, the only requirement is a desire to stop drinking, right? Yeah, we can have these desires all we want. But once we cross that line, it's going to take more than just having a desire to stop drinking. We need to take the practical program of action. No, because it's step one problem. Shoot, I used to go to meetings. I got a desire to stop drinking. Shoot, leave the meeting and get drunk again because they didn't give me no kind of solution. Only until I was 12 steps through this program, through this book. This is how I recover from alcoholism. Thank God for that. So we crossed the line. I crossed the line a long time ago, Peace, and I did not realize the condition that I was in. No, I ain't no alcoholic. So I used to tell my family, no, I ain't no alcoholic. I can stop when I get ready. But the lie detector determined that was a lie. I couldn't stop for nothing in the world. No way. A little bit about ourselves. If we have placed ourselves beyond human aid, then the AA fellowship alone will not bring about recovery from the illness of alcoholism, because the fellowship is made up of a bunch of human beings who are just as powerless as I am and as we are. People used to tell me, make that group your higher power, right? Well, that group is human. When we're beyond human aid, there's no other human that can help us solve our problem. So we got to look for something that's more powerful than human power. If me being a human being, if I could have solved my own problem, it would have been solved a long time ago. But see, the problem is, we real alcoholics can't solve our problem when we become beyond human aid. No, we're going to keep right on drinking and drinking again. This is my experience. I'm sure we all done had this experience in our drinking careers. It's a terrible place to be in, but it is what it is. Alcoholism is no joke. So here, the fact is, here on page 24, the fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink. We alcoholics at this point, we won't be able to resist taking that first drink without a defense. No, I can relate. In my periods, some periods of my dryness, so years back, the years of my dryness, I said, I'm not going to drink for a week, right? So the next day I might go somewhere and they got a beer. As soon as they offer me a drink, I'm taking it. I done forgot about everything else. No defense at the time. But notice this part of the book is written in italics, so this is a very important point. So I'm going to start it back over. The fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink. The choice is gone. It's over with. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. That's true. But Bill Wilson thought willpower was going to fix his problem, but no, he drank again. Then fear sobered him up for a little bit, he drank again. So willpower, fear, no matter what it is never enough for a real alcoholic. Because the paragraph goes on and tells us we are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against that first drink. So true. Man, without a defense, we're going to drink again. That's my experience. Bottom of page 43. It relates once more. The alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink. Except in a few rare cases, neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power. Amen to that. It must come from a higher power. The higher power I call is God, right? So I know we have atheists. I know we got agnostics in this group, but you know, if they God keeps them sober, more power to you. And that's beautiful. As long as it keeps you grounded, keeps you sober. And see, because this program, right? It's got everything we need to get sober and to stay sober. It provides everything that we need. You know what? I've been had a copy of this book since the early 80s, right? See, I used